Hi, it's Steve Gibson from the LaGrange Church of Christ, and I'm just here chilling out. I want to talk this week about the Spirit's calling to you. The Spirit's calling to me. The Spirit calls us to do things that are uncomfortable, maybe even frightening. And we have a lot of reasons not to answer those calls. Maybe it's just a small call to talk to somebody, or to take on something that you've been unwilling to take on, or maybe it's a big call to change your life. There are a lot of reasons why we don't do those things. The first biggest one is probably fear. I don't think that's going to work out for me if I try to do that. Well, that's why the Spirit's calling you to do it. It's not about your ability. It's like Gideon with the Midianites and the Amalekites. He's like, aren't I gonna die if I try to do that? Well, on your own power, yes you would. The whole point of answering the Spirit's call is that you're not relying on what makes sense to you or what you think you can get done. It's what you know God can get done. And He's chosen you as the means by which to get that done, the means through which to get that done. Not on your power, but on God's power. Another big one that stops people from doing what the Spirit calls them to do is I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it, if God really wanted me to do that, I would have it would make sense. No, it doesn't make sense. If God did only things that make sense to you, the world would be messed up, because you're not that smart. I'm sorry, I love you, but you're not that smart. God is. And so you feeling like that just can't be right. That has nothing to do with whether or not the Spirit is calling you to do something. Of course you don't feel it's right, or you would have done it already. You might say, well, I'm just not the right person. Really? Me? That doesn't make any sense. Me? Moi? Me? No. Yeah, that was Moses' excuse too. God, I'm just not the right guy for this. You're going to want someone diplomatic, someone who's good with words. I'm all blah, blah, blah. Want me to go talk to the Pharaoh and try to convince him to let your people go? I'm not the guy. Or maybe you're a big weirdo and you're thinking, I couldn't be a preacher. I'm a big weirdo. Well, God uses people who don't fit the profile to show His glory. When someone not equipped to do it does it, that just shows all the more that it's God's doing. And maybe you're too old. Well, that was Sarah and Abraham's thing, right? God said, look, I want to make you the father of a great nation. I want you to, do these things. I want you to go into a land 1,500 miles away that you've never seen before, and I'm going to give you a son. I'm a little old for that, really old, and way past kids. Well, no, not if that's what God has called you to do. You're not too old to do it. Age does not matter. Maybe you're too young. Timothy was obviously too young. He was called to ministry, and it doesn't matter. Timothy's youth had nothing to do with God's plans. And we have evidence that people were pushing back, saying Timothy is too young to be doing this. And that's just it. People if you want to make excuses, people will reinforce your excuses. You know what? You are too weird. You are too silly. You are too old. Yeah, you are going to die. No, you're right. This isn't a good time. You know, just because people are agreeing with you doesn't make you right. It just makes them wrong too. You know, and that's another excuse, is people say, you know what, I'm gonna do it when, you know, the time is right. There's no right time. There's no time that's gonna come where you feel like, oh, okay, now I'm a good Christian, or now's the right time for me to get baptized. You know, because I feel the whole point of walking in the Spirit is that there isn't a right time for you to get it done. You're never going to get it done. That's why God is there. That's why God's your Father. That's why God is calling you to the next level, because you're not ready and you need to grow. It's like my daughter complaining, you know, all day in school, I'm like, I don't know what's going on, and then I have to spend some time and then I get it. Well, yeah, that's called learning, sweetie. That's the process of learning. If you knew everything before you walked in, there'd be no point in sending you. She's like, well, actually, that seems good, the not sending me part. Well, God is sending you, and He's calling you to things, and you're going to keep making excuses. But your excuses are lame. God is not limited by anything. You may point out barriers. Yep, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. But there's no problem that God doesn't just level in front of Him. And that doesn't mean that if you answer God's call, everything's going to be super easy. No. God's going to show His power during your journey. You know, Abraham chickened out many, many times on his journey to Canaan. And he made mistakes, and God stepped in every time. Those barriers are not barriers in front of God. So I just want to encourage you, if God's calling you to do something, do it. Don't be afraid. Don't let your excuses keep you back. God wants to be full and rich in your life. Be courageous, not because you're tough and you're cool, but because God's with you. And God's glory will be shown when you answer His call, even though you do have problems. You are a flawed person. And you know what? You're probably still going to be that flawed person while you're trying to do the thing God wants you to do. But through that process, God will change you. Not before, but during. All this is God's refining fire to make us into who we were always meant to be, until we answer our final call to Him in glory. I hope you're encouraged by this. I hope you get unstuck. I hope you move forward. And I hope that you'll allow yourself to be blessed through God's amazing work in your life. Thank you for watching this entire video. I hope we'll see you on Sunday. We're still doing masks until we get in our seats at the LaGrange Church of Christ. I do hope we see you. Look forward to seeing you. Until then, catch me next time, where I will once again be out of the pulpit. Thanks. Bye.